What if stillness was not the absence of doing, but the doorway to deeper being? Welcome to Catalyst of Change, the space where we explore what it means to lead with soul, create with intention, and serve from the heart. Today's guest is Crystal Samuels, burnout coach and soundbath facilitator with over 20 years of practice in meditation, guiding individuals, groups, and organizations into spaces of renewal and clarity. Crystal weaves together diverse meditation techniques and the soothing power of sound baths, creating experiences that help her clients pause, rest, and reconnect with their essence. In this conversation, we hear more about Crystal's lived experience with burnout and with the transformative power of meditation. We learn how sound and vibration can bring us back to balance and why learning to be rather than always doing might be the key to living a more elevated life. Let's dive in. I am so excited, Crystal. Thank you for being with us today and joining us on our podcast.
Wow. Thank you for having me. That was an amazing introduction. Is that me? Is that really me?
It is you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love
you.
it. Yeah, and it's it is so true. When we first met, we were at that amazing gala for the Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun night. And we were at that table with all of these, many organizations had their own tables.
Yeah.
And I attended as a singular ticket. And I believe you did with your friends.
Yeah. I just put it out to a few ladies who wants to join. And Christina and Jan came.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I just feel like that whole little area of our table, we had such a vibe going. So I'm like, speaking of vibes and just like bringing the energy from like the moment we connected, I just felt that resonance. And I was like, wow, like what's going on in your world? Like, I want to learn about you. And when I came to learn more about what you do and also what your message is and how you're using your lived experience to really impact and empower others, I was just like, this is so inspiring. And, we need to share this. And I think one of the places I would love to start is just, the beginning of how what you're doing now came to be. Like, what was that journey? What was the point where you realize something's got to change?
Yeah. So I'm going to answer that question, but I want to again say thank you for having me on this podcast. And thank you for bringing me into the love, peace, harmony world. That book and the song, I listen to it all the time in my car. Me and my daughter has memorized the love, peace, harmony song now. So thank you so much.
I love that.
Yes. So what brought me to the point where I wanted to do or I needed to change? And literally it was me in my living room saying to myself after a night of working late, saying, I do not feel good and I cannot afford to leave this world before my child is of age. Literally, that's what it was. I'm like, my side's hurting me. There's pains, blurred vision. It was just me exhausted and tired, and burnout manifests physically. And I literally felt like if I don't take care of myself, I'm going to leave this world prematurely, and I cannot afford to have my child in this world without a mom. And so it's very emotional as I say that now, but that was the catalyst. And then after that, I realized that the change started to come from within. So a little backstory. I had my child later in life, like in my 40s. And what happened, it was amazing. I no regrets. I'm so excited to be a mom. But before that, it was just me living my best life, didn't have anything to worry about except work. So I was what you would call an exemplary example of a corporate professional. I did what it took. I was very reliable. I worked hard. I put in the hours. The trajectory was like, if you look at stock market over time, it's always an upward trajectory. My career was an upward trajectory, and it was going very well, and it was working. It was working very well. But when you become a parent or a mother or father or whatever it may be, your life has to change. And I went back to work. Actually, even before I went back to work, Alexia, I said I wanted to like get another promotion in life. And so I wanted to move from manager to director. And I even pulled out a spreadsheet. I started like networking while I was on maternity leave, mind you. And I was on her naps. I was calling people and virtual coffee chats because it was the pandemic. It was still the pandemic during that time. And 2 weeks after I got back into the workplace, I got the promotion.
Wow.
I was promoted into a director, and I'm like, see, you did it again. So I was using an old blueprint to move forward with my life with a child. But that blueprint would not work. And literally 8 months after being in that new role, I experienced burnout, all the signs. So burnout can be, some people have categorized it in 4, some people have up to 12 stages. But if just for simplicity, let's look at it in 4 stages.
Okay.
There is the super person, whether you want a superwoman, superman, super person. And that at that first stage is when you're proving and and you are working harder and harder and you're doing what it takes. And you're always looking for validation externally to let you know that you're doing it right. The second stage is after you prove, work hard, you go into stress. Like you can only do this for so long. And this is where you start to become stressed because people around you start to notice that things have changed. So you start to maybe blame the situation or the circumstance, or you start to behavioral changes. You will, and like from a stress perspective, you might just start to withdraw a bit. Like, I'm not interested, I'm not doing this event anymore, and so forth. And then once you move from the stress stage, stage 3 is when you get exhausted. So this is when potentially there's numbness happening. You feel isolated. This is when you realize that, okay, this is not kind of working for me, but you're still sort of in a denial stage. And then the 4th stage is actually burnout. This is when it manifests physically in some cases. And this is when you have to like make a change, else you will like either fall over from exhaustion, mental exhaustion. There's just so much that's happening. And so if my scenario, I was like, if I was at like burnout 100%, I just remember where I would get up in my living room like something's not right. And I would be like, I'm not feeling right. I kind of feel like I'm going crazy. Like, what's going on in my mind? So there was just a lot of things. So that was the backstory to got me to the point where I'm like, I cannot afford not to be here for my daughter. So if anyone is experiencing that, do not ignore the signs. So those were symptoms of burnout, but I just want to take it one layer deeper in that this scenario of where I was working through or where I experienced burnout, there was a lot of positive things that came out of that. And I know it was difficult. I am not even going to say it wasn't difficult. It was so difficult. But what came out of that is something that I refer to as my blessing in my burnout, because I realized I was misaligned with my true core essence of who I needed and desired to be. So I look at burnout as a symptom of misalignment. So when you're in misalignment internally, these are the things that might happen externally. And so you have to get to the place where you are just stepping in your purpose. And once you're in your purpose, interestingly, you might be able to do all the things that you were able to do before, but they come from a different place. They come from a place of being.
Wow.
That's a little bit of the backstory, but I encourage anyone that's hearing this or think they're going through this, let's not ignore and really consider where you might be misaligned internally.
Yeah, it feels like there's so much to dive into in what you've just shared. And,
Yeah.
one of the things is I feel like many times people can ignore those signs or symptoms because, well, for one, maybe at first they're subtle.
Yeah.
For two, they're so normalized in our society where it becomes almost like glorified to be so busy, to be stressed, to have such packed schedules, to be in that state of like constant creation, constant go, constant activity, like doing. And also, like, maybe people's life circumstances, for example, finances or a specific role that has demands and accountabilities, they feel trapped. Like, maybe someone could even say, I know I have symptoms of burnout. Maybe they're even listening to this and they're like, wow, she's describing me. And yet I need to pay my bills and I need to do all this stuff. And I feel trapped. So, like, my curiosity is like, did you ever experience anything like that? Or what would you say to someone who might be feeling like that? Where they're realizing, oh my gosh, she's talking about me, but also they're not sure how to minimize burnout in that situation.
Yeah. No, that is real, very real. And I would say that the alternative isn't worth it. For everyone that's listening, the alternative isn't worth it. While you feel like you're trapped right here, right now, this trap might lead to like long-term symptoms and dis-ease or disease in your body that you cannot backtrack from. So what I experience, like, I would say that in my scenario, I work for a huge organization at the time. So I was able to take time off. But I would say that more than feeling trapped about maybe what's happening externally, like with finances, a lot of times it's shame. That is the number one reason, majority of the time, as to why somebody or an individual doesn't decide to make that shift, or even if it's a small, subtle shift that's going to send them on the right track. Shame is something that is this feeling that engulfs us. And that's what I experience, shame. What are people going to think? I haven't really openly told my dad to this day. I think he's kind of heard about it, but I haven't openly told him what I went through. I remember during the time when I was away, because I had the privilege of, I had to take time off, just to let everyone know. I took time off. I went into the doctor's office. The doctor saw me exactly where I was, and she's like, you cannot go back to work at this moment. And I thought it was going to be 6 weeks. It ended up to 4 months. So I remember during that time, my dad would be like, why are you calling me every day? And he's like, don't, are you not working? I'm like, no, we're working from home. Like, I wasn't even telling the truth. And I just want to say for folks, when it comes to shame, that you really realize that you have to verbalize what's happening to kill shame. Shame only lives in darkness and silence. Shame cannot live in vocalization and light. It just cannot. So have that trusted person or persons that you can let know what's happening and just like let it out and share. So there's that. I think that's the number one, is shame.
Wow.
And then from there, yes, there is some, like, as I said, I work for an organization that I could have afforded, literally, I could have afforded to take off 4 months without having an impact to my financial situation. But if you can even make those small adjustments, maybe you cannot take time off of work, but think about maybe how you can make those small adjustments in your day to give you a little bit more sense of being instead of doing. Because it's stepping back and resting the mind and the body that will really help you move through these scenarios or this situation. Maybe it's a morning walk just for clarity, even though you know you have to go to the job by 9, maybe the morning walk is going to help you. You know, maybe it's the try and get to bed. Try and take some aids like magnesium. I was experiencing significant anxiety and I wasn't sleeping well at night, and I had to use like magnesium to help rest and calm my body, so that I could get good night's rest. It worked, but it was better than taking nothing, right? So these small things that can hopefully help you. But thanks for asking that, because it is so real.
Yes. And what you said about these small tweaks that we can make is sometimes the big things, like those little things over a sustained period of time, can have such a big impact.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that I was really inspired by is like you being a burnout coach and now turning these experiences into empowering others. And I feel like one of the ways when we do have that is, like you said, having a listening ear.
Yeah.
So whether it's like a coach or a trusted friend or family member, and that, you know, really spoke to me. And when you said shame lives
in the dark.
Yeah.
And with silence.
That's like
Yeah.
that, like,
Yeah.
because when we feel that, we can isolate. We can feel like we're alone, like we're the only one.
Yeah.
And sometimes just sharing that is so profound. And I'm wondering, like, did you have a listening ear? Did you have someone, or how? So when you had that moment, right? Like I need to be there for my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, what were those next steps you took to actually start reaching a new place?
Yeah. So I would say that I did have two friends. One friend that worked in the same environment as me, so could relate to the work environment. And then one friend that actually went through what I was going through. It's like she goes, you are going through what I've experienced. And I was like, no, I'm not, you know, all that stuff. But in speaking to them, they were so empathetic and kind, and they just wanted the best for me. And they're like, we can't afford not to have you, so you need to do this. And that's what I had. But, you know, sometimes people don't have that. And I would say, look for communities. Like, honestly, look, there's so many communities that are out there that can support you through it. Because after that, when I took the time off, I did find a brand new community that was net new to me. It was another friend that I confided in. She goes, I have a friend that does this. She goes, just go and see. You may just have a day out, but it may turn to something. And it was a brand new community of the most friendliest strangers that have turned to friends. That also was helping me through this time. Just supportive, kind, saw the best in you, and just wanted the best for me and my family and my little family. So find community, the person, the coach, the friends that can be there, but also be careful with friends, because friends are not therapists either, or people that they're there to support you, but remember, they're not therapists, right? And I had a therapist. Yes, so important. And then from there, the first thing, because I reflected on what I did, and I created an entire framework to help people work through burnout. My target audience are high achieving women that are experiencing this. And the first thing you have to do, as simple and as boring as it sounds, you have to rest. Number one thing. Like, if you work with me, we don't talk about anything to what you're going through until we go through resting the mind, resting the body, because you need to rest in order to move from places of clarity and make good decisions for yourself from thereafter. You have to, like, honestly let the fog fall. Let all of that's been clouding your mind for the months or the years just start to dissipate, because you need to see clearer. And only with rest can you do that. We cannot underestimate what rest does. There's physical rest, yes, sleeping, but there's also meditation. There is walking. There is our body, like not overexerting our body, or at times allowing that exercise, that different type of exercise that our body needs in order to come to places of meditative flows, right? So first thing was rest. Second thing was grieving who you used to be.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. Who I was got me to where I was, but it wasn't that person that was going to get me to where I needed to be. That is a hard process. Grieving that person you used to be. But on the other side of that grief, it's reimagining who you desire to be. So while you're letting go of that person, you're reimagine who you truly desire to be. And sit with it and be open, no limitations. What do I desire? And then from there, setting boundaries, because once you desire this person, you're going to have to set your boundaries in order to have this person evolve and blossom and show up. And then the last thing is around sustaining and elevating in that space. So that's what, when I look back, that's what occurred. And then in that space, I actually did a little mini glow up. When I say glow up, meaning that I got a whole new haircut. I did a new wardrobe. I got rid of the clothes that did not show up as me. It wasn't me anymore. I let that clothes go. I remember when I was working with this young lady that I was telling you about, Joy. I'm like, Joy, I have no clothes in my closet anymore. Because she literally said, gone, gone. She goes, when last did you wear this? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, gone, gone, gone. I think I had 4 or 5 pieces left hanging in my closet. But it was just literally that shedding process. It's about letting go and shedding, grieving, letting go, shedding to make space, because it was very full of everything that wasn't working for me. And I needed to make space.
Wow.
So that's, I would refer to it as like my framework of moving from, overwhelmed to empowerment, right?
Yeah. It's like that alone, I feel like you could spend so much time unpacking with each individual person, because it would be like that framework. There's so much within each step. And it's really powerful how you've taken something that could potentially be so complex and simplified it in such a profoundly clear way. So it's, amazing. And
that was just a reflection of what I did. I'm like, what did I do? And then I made it sound much better than what I said to myself. But yeah, that was what I did. And I actually tested this on a couple of people that went through. They're like, yep. All these things, all of it. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And one of the things that you're launching now is a book.
Yeah.
And your chapter in this book is the blessing
in the burnout.
And so that you mentioned earlier, and I'm really curious to hear more about that, how the burnout is a blessing, and also in general just about this project, the book, and this chapter. What was it like? Because it's one thing to live something, and it's another thing to actually sit down and put pen to paper and really get it out. What was that like?
Alexia, you said it. It's so true. It's hugely different when you're putting it black and white, laptop, ink, whatever you work with.
Yeah.
But this project, this project, it's a group of women that are talking about their stories of finding their purpose again. And the title of the book is Your Life on Fire. The book will be launched, will be available in November, but I'll be doing some pre-stuff before then. But the process of actually writing, there was still shame that lived in my body. When I was writing my chapter, The Blessing and the Burnout, I was, sharing the story, the backstory, and how I got to the other side of it. But there were certain things that I was holding back on. And I realized when I reflected, I'm like, wow, there's still shame living in my body. And I had to name it and vocalize it and bring light to it. And it helped me to really finish writing in a way that I'm truly telling my raw, true, authentic story. And so it was a very expansive experience that had its ebbs and flows. But overall, it's like a healing 3.0 on this journey. That's just another part of my healing process, because healing is always something that we're always going through. It's just how quickly can you realize what's happening and bounce back, right? And then, you keep going from there. So I just want to express to people that are listening here, I'm only a few steps ahead of you all. So I'm not way past and superior in any way. I'm only a few steps ahead of you, but it worked. And so I would love to share where I am, as you may think I'm far, but I'm just a few steps ahead. Yeah. I'm a human just like everybody else.
Yeah. And that is what I feel can inspire everyone, is that we all have that potential inside of us, and we all have that ability to rise above whatever our circumstances are, no matter how challenging, whatever we may be faced with. And we all have our own journeys. So that's something that I'm hearing in what you're saying is look within.
Yeah.
That alignment you mentioned, and finding the blessings in things that are challenging in our life is a blessing, because it is a way for us to go to gratitude, to go to the appreciation. And it's like an anchor when we're in the darkness. It's the light. It's to be able to say, okay, even if all of these things are going wrong, or if I'm being challenged in all of these ways, maybe there's one thing I can hold on to in terms of something that can make me feel that gratitude or make me feel that appreciation in the moment. Yeah.
So, what's interesting, that's why I love the fact that I called it Blessing in the Burnout, because that burnout scenario was just the beginning. And so that's why I refer to it as a blessing. It was the beginning to all of this that we see right here in front of us right now. And it was the beginning of me saying no more and yes to what really served me. It was the beginning of me slowing down and listening to what really lights me up. Because if that didn't happen, I would just be on autopilot, continuing doing the trajectory of the corporate world. And not that the corporate world is bad. I'm not 100% out of it. I am very grateful for it, but I work with it very differently now, very differently. And I use those words, work with, very strategically, because it's true. I work with it because it's working within my life. So as I was saying, I see it as very much a blessing, because I see what really lit me up. And I was able to, when I was going through the process of reimagining my life, there was a lot of tears, because it's am I really letting go of what I thought? And I thought this and I thought this. But when I was looking at it, I'm like, but this world of helping people use meditation as a tool to turn inward and to really listen to themselves. Because every answer, this is one thing, if there's a couple messages that I hope you leave with, but every one of them is every answer that you need is within you. I'm not saying you don't listen to maybe some advice that a friend or trusted person gives you, but those are inputs into how you're going to reflect, and then your answers will emerge. They're not emerging through the conversation or from someone else. They're emerging from within you. And that is also a reflection of where I needed to work on. I was looking for a lot of validation externally. And when you depend on external validation and it doesn't show up, that's a recipe for like a really big fall hard. And so really looking inwards and knowing that everything you need is within you. Your answers, where you need to go next, how you want to show up in this world, it really is emerging from within. If you just listen, just take the time to listen. And what you hear is not the loud. The loud is the external. It's the quiet things that really show up for you. And you're like, oh, okay. Okay, I'm listening. I'm hearing now. Yeah. So, yeah, there's so much things that happens internally. And just that true internal connection is what's going to like catapult you further along because you are in alignment with what you truly desire.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I would say that there's always blessings in hard scenarios. You just have to look for them. Yeah. And if there is anything with respects to you feel that you're going through these symptoms of burnout, listen to them. Just listen, vocalize. Speak to, if you don't have anyone, a professional, whether it be your family doctor, if you're into therapy, your therapist, just vocalize.
Yes. And you mentioned that pivotal point and then just feeling like I need to be there for my daughter. And I'm just curious, like as a mom, what shifted for you, like in that dynamic and in your family life, like in, you're with your daughter, like in this journey?
Yeah. I have a big smile on my face because honestly, I realize how much joy is in front of me every single day. And this is not to be taken for granted. So I parent and I have one child, right? And that means I only have the first junior kindergarten. I only have the one senior kindergarten. I only have one grade 1. So every day is just one. I don't have a redo. And so I just show up more present for her. And one of the things, my mom will love to hear this, but if my house is dirty, it's dirty. But I am playing with my daughter and we're having lots of fun at the park. That's what matters. I'm just much more present with her. That's what really shifted, the presence. Yeah.
And that's probably, I would say, one of the greatest gifts that you could ever give a child and any person in your life, whether it's a child or family member, friend, anyone, could even be the stranger at a coffee shop, like just giving another person your presence, like you're like being fully present here and now wherever you are, and especially for a child. And that dynamic as a parent, as a mother, is like one of the greatest things I think you could ever do.
Like one of our morning tradition, like before I would be like jumping up, we gotta go, but morning tradition is we just sit down and we play whatever. She's into cats now, so oftentimes I have to be a cat. Yeah. So we just play in the morning. And you were like, well, how do you have time to play in the morning on a weekday when you got to go to work? She has to go to school. But it's really how you start your morning. So I don't wake up when she wakes up. I wake up an hour and a half before she wakes up. And I have my time and I'm ready for her when she wakes up, so that playtime is so important because it just kind of sets the tone for her day. I notice if I rush her out, it's like, ooh, it's like almost like, don't leave me. But yeah, it's when you have the time and you give them what they need, they're ready. They're like, okay, see you later, Mom. I'll see you later. I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, they got that love
Yeah,
and
yeah,
attention and
yeah, all of that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, so I show up so much more differently for her now, and I realize that what I thought was normal actually isn't normal.
Mm.
Yeah. And talking about normal, I want us to also normalize burnout.
Mm.
I think it's almost impossible for anyone to go through life and not experience some sort of burnout.
Yeah.
I think it's quite impossible. So I want us to normalize the fact that we're going to experience some sort of burnout, and we need to tap in and get the support and the help we need with it. It's not a bad thing. It's life.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of your well, I guess your target audience or the people you speak to is women.
Yeah.
And one of the things I find interesting in this conversation about burnout is the structure of like our society. For example, we're talking about the corporate work day, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And one of the things I've myself have been learning on this journey is the hormonal cycle of women and the hormonal cycle of men. And how essentially there's so much more science to really break it down. But the point is like men basically run on a 24-hour clock where women run on a 28-day clock. So that reset for a man happens every day biologically, whereas for a woman, it's every month. It builds up. So it's a whole other ballgame. It's like a whole other way of experiencing the existence and life and like what it means to actually be in a physical body on this journey. And so I'm just curious if anything in that realm has shown up in this work for you, like specifically working with women and how women, can fit in these types of environments, for example, like 9 to 5 work and how to make it work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, what's so interesting is I'm going to bring it back to a point how it's very important for us to be in tune with what's happening inside. Because a lot of women don't even realize that we operate differently.
Right.
Bodily. So this is probably going to be great education for who's watching this. They're like, oh, we do? So that's why it's so important for you to be in tune what's happening internally so that you can listen to the signs of that. No, I need a little bit more rest, or no, I have a lot of energy today. Let me use these next 7 days of my energy days and get a lot done. And then, you know how the cycle works, and then, it slows down. But I would say that how we work in a 9 to 5 environment, it's really tough, Alexia. I don't have a straight answer of how we can avoid this. But what I can say is there was as difficult, and I acknowledge all the difficulty, the loss, the pain for people during the pandemic. There has been some blessing in it relating to how organizations are seeing that work can and is being done differently.
Yes.
And that you do not have to be on a 9 to 5 clock to get things done.
Yes.
And so I think there is hope. And that they're realizing that things can be done differently because they had no choice.
Yeah.
So let's see how long we can keep organizations' eyes open to this and not to box employees back into a parameter of 9 to 5 in office.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing to see like all the dynamics and also like, people who are entrepreneurs. There's so many different ways that we can live beyond the traditional 9 to 5, and that we can use a lot of these experiences to expand the awareness of like what is possible. For example, this is just present for me right now because I saw it recently online, but there was a organization with it was actually in China, and this man, I saw this, it was like a reel on Instagram or something, but the man who runs the organization started having unhappiness days. And it was like, if you're not happy, don't come to work.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't track it. They just had unhappiness days. And so they didn't have to like get a note or something. Like you just like, I'm having an unhappiness day today. I'm like taking the day off. So it's just on an honor system. And I was like, that is so interesting.
So what was the results of that?
Well, I believe it. I mean, as far as I'm aware, this happened this year. So
Okay,
I would
so
love
there's
to
still-
know. I don't
okay.
know. Yeah. I'd love to check it out.
Mhm.
I'm so curious too.
Yeah.
You know, but I've heard like such positive things about hybrid work environments, about shorter work weeks, and also like you explained so beautifully, even in a circumstance where one has to go to the office, like building in those buffers of time
Yeah.
to just be.
Just be.
And actually, that can set us up for whatever is to come.
Mhm.
Whether that's a corporate work environment or in being an entrepreneur, being an artist, or whatever the day
Yes.
holds for any of us, you know, whether I'm a stay-at-home mom, the day is still going to hold things. There will be experiences and interactions and conversations. There could be hiccups in the day. Anything can come about no matter what we're doing. So having those little moments of joy and those moments of presence can give us that like sustenance and that like presence to be able to then go out and like deal with anything that comes our way.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to mention is that as I talk about the framework, like the rest is literally the foundation. And that, when we get into the last stage of sustaining and elevating, is what is the routine you're going to build for yourself on a daily basis to allow you to be in those spaces of being / rest / not doing the most, you know? And again, for me, it happens to be, I'm a morning person. I wake up early, and that's my state of like really resting and being and capturing my first hour of my day. Because if I don't capture my first hour of my day, the day is going to just capture me totally. And so just being in that space of like charting, this is how I'm going to show up today. And you're right. There's going to be the email that has the tone. There's going to be, you know, potentially my daughter or your child that is having a little bit of attitude. There's going to be all of that that's there. But if you set yourself up effectively, then you can show up in this role. Or the client as entrepreneurs, the client that may not be the idea, and how do you navigate this of what's happening. But yeah, there's so many opportunities for us to just really start to listen to ourselves more and become more aligned. So we avoid the burnout, and we're really working through our soul's purpose.
Yeah. And one of those ways is the sound baths.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you've, you know, been this beautiful representation in this world for that. You were on our Harmonic Connections event, hosting this gorgeous sound bath. And so what has it been like for you on that journey, like discovering the power of these beautiful like sounds and melodies and the impact on the body and the nervous system? And like, so how was that for you, and how has it been sharing it with others?
Yeah. So sound has this ability to just calm and regulate our nervous system that is just undeniable. When I was being mentored, there was an exercise that I did with my mentor where she showed me these pendulums that were going in different directions. Some was going left, some were going right, some were different timing. And by the time, just give it 1 minute. By the time you just let them go for the 1 minute, they were all in sync. Because with sound and with and movement, there's a natural rhythm that we always want to get in harmony and in sync with each other. And so sound gives you the ability to connect in with the vibration of the music and just like really lay into it and get in sync with what's happening internally. And I find as well that meditation, people often think that it's silence and in your room, quiet in the dark. That is a way of meditating. There's no doubt about it. But sound is a wonderful kind of gateway into a meditative flow because you're focusing on something and it's calming your nervous system. It's calming your mind. It's calming your body. And as I perform the sound bath, sometimes I feel like I'm waving with the rain stick or the sound that's coming through the rain stick as I'm moving through the room, or as I'm like playing the singing bowls. There's just this tendency to just move with it, and you just have this calming vibration that comes over you. So yes, I love it. It's something that it's one of those practices that I offer for folks, and as a part of like being a part of my coaching program, I definitely have sound baths as a way of, the rest component, that first stage. But do not underestimate how sound and music really can calm our nervous system and set us up to like open up to receive what we're supposed to. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. I don't forget about it. I think because I just do it so often and I just love it. It's just a part of me now.
Yeah, it feels like very second nature and just like organic, and also fits so beautifully with the healing and transformation of burnout. As a tool and a technique to use. And, like you mentioned in the opening with your daughter, and the Love, Peace, Harmony song is an example of like using frequency and vibration to like immediately just like activate a field. Like even with the song, sometimes let's say I'm out at a social event, there's lots of conversations and activity and people, and it's like, it's not even like it's negative, but it's just like very stimulating. And there's like so much activity. I will just go into the car. I will play Love, Peace, Harmony for like 2 minutes. And it's just like almost immediately I feel, reset. And it's like, okay, good to go for like whatever else is the day holds, Whereas like if I didn't do that, I might be like carrying that energy like into the next thing and into the next thing. And before I know it, by the end of the day, I could just feel like so heavy and almost like overwhelmed or full of anxiety, which I've experienced at times. So having those pauses with frequency, with sound, with positive information throughout the day can just lighten the load and make energy so much more vibrant.
It's sound is energy, right?
Yeah,
it's energy. And like how you connect in with the energy and the frequency is just, it can again elevate you. It really can. And we can go into the science of the different frequencies and what will lead to productivity versus sleep versus all that stuff. That's another podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna.
But
stay tuned.
Podcast. But it's just amazing. But one thing. Maybe one last thing or so. I don't know where we're at, but I just wanted to like share with everyone that when change doesn't have to begin with a huge leap. Change can begin with a pause. Just remember that. Sometimes we think it has to be big and loud and a big bang. It really can be a pause. And in that pause is where the magic and the transformation is getting ready to happen. So I just wanted to share that with folks too. Change can be a pause. And I looked at my burnout scenario as that pause.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I feel like we'll leave everyone with that. You just say to remember. And, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us and share all of, these experiences. And I want to encourage everyone also to connect to your book. Click the links. Go to your website, follow you on socials, stay tuned to all of your activities and everything you're up to. Is there anything else you want to share or make a calling for?
Yeah, I do. Like to reiterate what Alexia said is that I really would appreciate if you all were to buy my book, again, what is amazing is that it's not only my story, but it's the story of other women and how
Yeah.
they have found purpose. So while my story may resonate with you, there might be a story that resonates with somebody else, or a couple stories that resonate with you. So I will leave all the links and stuff in the bios and all that stuff, but I do want to encourage you all to buy the book. And if it's not for yourself, buy it for someone. Um, this is a definitely self-funded co-authorship project. So the more books we sell, the better. And we help everyone with our stories.
Yes.
And then secondly is that along with the book, I'll be launching my burnout coaching program. It's rebuild and reclaim, moving from overwhelm to empowerment. And as noted in this episode, my focus is on high performing or high achieving women, but everyone's welcome. But I can definitely resonate with those folks, being one myself. Yeah, yeah, and
Yes.
know what it can mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Crystal. We're so happy to have you here. And we want to thank you for reminding us that stillness is powerful and that rest is essential, and the power of sound, and really to be in the space of being.
Yeah.
And that I really want to thank you. And if this conversation resonated with you, which I'm very confident it will, I know in my heart it really resonated, we want to invite you to share it with someone who could use a moment to pause and reconnect with their inner calm. And of course, follow Crystal's offerings, from the sound baths, meditations, your coaching program, your book, and allow yourself to experience the renewal and balance she so beautifully inspires. And as always, we encourage you all, and all of us together, to stay present, stay purposeful, and remember, you are the catalyst.